How you doing today? How's my sound? How's everything going? It's cold out there. I just went down a rabbit hole today, and we're gonna start covering again Kristen Worthington. This is something that I had covered 11 years ago, and it's so funny today what happened to me. It's just going down this rabbit hole on an old case, Christa Worthington, some corruption that we discussed on the Young Jerks 11 years ago. 11 years ago. It was July 5th, 2014. We're going to play a video. It's actually audio because back then we didn't even do a video show. It was just a live streaming internet show that is actually on YouTube. It's an old channel I had with like 4,000 subs still on YouTube that I haven't looked at forever. And last night, while I had Robbie Roadsteamer on the show. We were talking about old times and an old video that we had done uh, at his house when we were playing Super Tecmo Bowl and smoking our weed and having a great old time. And after the show, he sent a link to me of that video. And that video, I clicked on it and watched it for a little bit. And then the next thing I know, it was feeding me one of my other old videos that was about Krista Worthington. And I realized it had actually gotten some traction even more recently. People are still watching that video, that old audio. And so we're going to play that tonight. And it sent me down the rabbit hole today. I just started looking into it again because it's been 11 years since I looked at this. And the guest that you're going to hear on the show, he's since passed away. But what this audio is the uncle of a witness and somebody that I say could be a suspect. He could have been involved in the murder of Krista Worthington. The uncle was on my show 11 years ago calling out his nephew on the statements that the nephew had said. If you don't know, this is a very high profile situation, Kristen Worthington. And this is the murder of Krista Worthington from Wiki. Krista Worthington was a United States fashion writer. She worked for Women's Wear Daily. She wrote for them Cosmopolitan, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, New York Times. She was also a co-author of several books on fashion. She was an elite. Her father was part of the system in Massachusetts. Worthington was stabbed to death at her home in Truro, Massachusetts, Cape Cod. Her body was found on January 6th with her 2-year-old daughter Ava clinging to it. The child was unharmed. On April 15th, 2005, like basically 3 years later, 3 years, 3 months later, a local garbage collector, Chris McCowan, was arrested and charged with her rape and murder. McCowan had lived on Cape Cod since about 1998 and had been a garbage collector whose regular route included Worthington's home. McCowan was charged on the basis of genetic fingerprinting and incriminating statements he made during a police interview. So now I'm just going to say, like, I'm not going to take the angle that Chris McGowan is innocent because I don't know. There is one piece of evidence, the DNA, the semen, the spit, that's really going to be hard to overcome. However, there are some other interesting characters around this that I want to look into. And tonight is the first round. We're going to start looking into these. And because some things have happened in their lives since then. The state police have come out with some evidence that they hid away for decades. We're going to talk about all that tonight. And we're going to get into this case much more going forward. I intend to I spoke to the attorney today. And this attorney had basically been disbarred. He had been criminally charged with money laundering. And I think because of his representation of some of these clients where he exposed the system, I think it was some retribution. I think they set him up. He's recently been readmitted by the bar, which is very unusual. And he's a very high-end trial attorney. His name's Robert George. I talked to him on the phone today. We emailed, we talked. He's definitely going to come on my show. And he's also the attorney for Eddie O'Brien. So I talked to him about JFK today as well. And hopefully he's going to go on the JFK show as well. So This is something we're going to look into much more. And again, this was on Cape Cod. This large black man was the trash collector. Large black man on mostly white Cape Cod. Cape Cod is very white, and this black man, a very large black man, big scary black man, as a lot of the jurors seem to fear this defendant. He had very low IQ, not a smart guy, below average IQ. Think about what the average person's IQ is. He was below average. The police interrogated for him for hours. He changed his story. There's a lot to this. I always felt like there was something funny about this case, and the more I look into it, we're gonna dive in. And I'm not saying that this guy's innocent, but I think it's worth looking into and looking at the system and the way it works, and especially with police informants and the way that the state police and the local government covers things up. The guy that we're going to talk about tonight is named Sean Mulvey. His father was a firefighter in a nearby town. Not just a firefighter, he was the fire chief who had lost his job for stalking. So this is already, if we look at the McAlberts as townies, this guy Sean Mulvey we're going to talk about, he was a townie. His father was connected. And these guys, and Sean Mulvey and his friend that we're going to talk about, this Jeremy Frazier, they were known drug dealers. They had been in trouble before, and somehow they never really actually got in trouble, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna play the video. We'll look and see where these guys have gone since then. Let's get this off the screen for a second. Yeah, old school Cape Cod. It happened in Truro, even further down than Orleans. Truro is right next to Provincetown. It's basically the tip of the Cape. It's like no man's land. It's that no man's land area before you hit Provincetown. It's actually a nice area. I really like it, but it's pretty desolate. That's why I kind of like it actually. And then you hit Provincetown. And so you think about New England towns and Massachusetts town, everybody knows each other. On Cape Cod, it's even more so because they get inundated, but all these tourists come in during the summer, but in the winter, no one's there. So you get to know your neighbors during those winters if you stick around. It becomes a ghost town. Yeah, and Truro is a ghost town. Out of all the Cape towns, it's probably the most ghost town of all the Cape towns that I know of. Yeah, it's out of Cape. Out of Cape. Outer Cape, I guess is what they call it. Yeah, nobody is around. And basically what happened too is this you know, there was a big mystery on who did it. They were collecting DNA from everyone. This guy McGowan gave them his DNA, which is shocking. He voluntarily gave it to them, which is wild. Um, and the truth of it is, these other two guys he was friends with, and like I said, both of them have gotten caught up in some shit since then. We're going to talk about that tonight too. Um, I don't know if anything came of either. I know one case was dismissed. I don't know about the other case. We're going to talk about that too, but it sure seemed like they were trying to pin it on this one guy. And if you look at the attorney, Robert George is like a trial attorney, very connected. Guess where he comes from? Norfolk County. He used to be a prosecutor under Delahunt. This guy, Robert George, has seen a lot on both sides of as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. He knows all about the mobsters and all about the political corruption. And I'm really looking forward to having him on the show. Maybe Thursday night. That's what I'm hoping on. Right here. And these are some of the facts that came out during the trial. Robert George really laid into Jeremy Frazier and this other Sean Mulvey we're going to talk about. He laid into them during the trial. And one of the things he was laying into him was there was a call between Frazier and the Massachusetts State Police the night that she died, and they couldn't explain the call. Nobody could seem to explain that call. There's a lot of weirdness about this, and basically Mulvey and Frazier were with McGowan that night at a club before Christa Worthington died. And Sean Mulvey at first lied to the police. He lied to the police about everything basically. And Frazier alibi was Mulvey, and the alibi really never seemed to be a truthful alibi. And the state police went along with it. They used these guys as witnesses, even though they weren't very truthful, even though that they have criminal records, even though there's a lot of stuff that's even come out since then about them. Yeah, they were at the juice bar, and they were exactly rumored informants. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to play the old interview, and then we're going to talk about some of the lost evidence that's recently come out in the last couple of years. Again, this happened in 2002, January 6, 2002, and evidence came out in 2022, I think it was, 2020. Like 20 years later, they find evidence. So you know these state police were hiding evidence. Think about that. And what kind of evidence was it? We're going to talk about that as well tonight. Um, there's a lot to this. We have some different documentation we're going to show tonight. And like I said, this is going to be a quick intro for people. The one thing I want people to keep in mind when I play this audio, number one, my name is Mike Can at that point. I used to go under Mike Can because I was a financial advisor and I was doing all this cannabis legalization work and I had a podcast, controversial. So I had a double life. I didn't tell AIG and the companies I was working with that I was doing this stuff. I think at this point in 2011, not sure. I may have been out of there. I may have been like self-employed financial advisor, or I just lost everything. This is around the time my shit started. My life actually fell to shit. Actually, it's funny when we talked to Robbie last night because Robbie and I had similar arcs, and around the same time that Robbie is talking about living in one room doing meth at a jam space, that's where this video, this audio, it's in the same building. That's where this interview went down. And my life was similar to his, where I had some success, some popularity, my shit had kind of blown up, but people started using me. And I made some tough decisions and I basically said no more. And I gave up a lot of shit and kind of hurt me. And at the same time, my financial life was blowing up, not in a good way, because I had been busted for some weed, and it's a long story. So I basically lost everything. I had early success in my life. Age 30, I was rich, and then right around this point, this is where I lost everything. So this is like a time warp for me personally to go back to this, to listen to it and say, we're going back to this. And the funny thing is, the guy that you're going to hear interviewed, he is the uncle of Sean Mulvey, the witness. And we became friends. He passed away since then, which is really sad. But I feel special tonight to bring him to you because he wanted this to get out there. He felt like there was a huge injustice and it involved his family, and he wanted to make sure that he did everything that he could to correct the injustice. And so tonight we're going to talk about it. Yeah, Chris Mason. There you go. I'm glad you got a lot of you already know about this. Yeah, Captain Christopher Mason, DA O'Keefe, tried collecting DNA from everyone. Incredible. Chris Mason, I think he's suspect, and he became a bigwig in the Mass State Police too. This is going to be interesting to listen back. I haven't even listened to all this. I just listened to it a little bit this morning. Again, I'm going to say a couple things about this audio. Number one, I think what we need to focus on is what Sean and Sean's father said to his uncle, to the brother. You know, the firsthand statements, he's given us testimony about what was said to him. I think that's the most important thing to listen to here. I think Kevin maybe goes a little too far. And back then, I really didn't know much about this, so I just let Kevin go. I wasn't challenging him, and I never really did challenge him on this stuff. And I think he went a little, like he gets caught up, you'll hear in the COINTELPRO, and that this is a big mafia, federal government plot. And he could be right. I mean, there's a lot to this but I also think there could be some scenarios where this was a lot simpler. And maybe this was there's a lot of theories out there. People still think that Tony might have had something to do with it. Some people think it might have been a hit. There's a lot of different angles that this could be beyond the big conspiracy that Kevin's going to really push in this interview. But I think it's important that we listen to what a family member of a witness had to say about what that witness told them. And that's why I'm going to play this audio tonight. And it's how I'm going to kick it off the show. And what you'll hear, too, is the Young Jerks. Like I said, it used to be an audio-only podcast. We would sometimes put it on YouTube later on. I went as Mike Can. My co-host back there then was a guy named Frank Capone. And Frank is a great guy. We used to work together at one point. We did a lot of activism together. And if anyone knows about Frank Capone locally, he is a hardcore libertarian, almost a Republican in some ways. So there you go, where people think I'm all over the place, left, right. I worked with everybody. And Frank and I worked on a lot of issues. We didn't always agree on everything. But I love Frank, and you're going to hear Frank on this show. He asked some good questions. And so you're going to hear it back in the day at the very beginning when the Young Jerks was two guys. It was Mike and Frank and Mike. And it was audio only. It's funny, someone said, no, Tony didn't do it. I don't think Tony did it, but there's still a lot of scuttlebutt about it. And what you're going to hear on this, too, is that when we play this audio, you're also going to hear him talk about this moving company where this guy, Dave, is connected to the mafia and he killed somebody. I don't know if I buy all that. I don't. You know, and again, like I said, that's Kevin. That's his theory. The reason I'm playing this tonight is because of the firsthand statements that he got from his cousin, the witness, and his brother, who was the father of the witness, who may have been involved in this whole thing, who were very close to Christopher McCowan. That's why we're playing this. So consider everything else with a grain of salt, and we're gonna just look into this. We're gonna see where this goes. I'm gonna try to call Sean Mulvey. Sean Mulvey's still alive. I'm going to try to call Jeremy Frazier. Let's see what these guys have to say today. I'm going to have attorney Bob George on the show upcoming. We're just going to pull the string and see where this goes. And tonight, again, this is an interview I did 11 years ago with the uncle of the witness in the Christa Worthington case. And the most important thing to listen to here is what he has to say about his nephew. Let's play it.
You're listening to WEMFradio.com. Radio now.
So just got one thing I'm going to say too before I'm going to check out for a little while so I can listen to this with better audio. It's actually better on my phone. So I'm going to listen to it with everyone else. And then I'm going to come back and show you some more documentation and what's actually happening. And then we're going to wrap it up, and we're all going to go watch JFK, hopefully, at 8 p.m. He's got a major interview tonight with Eddie O'Brien's father. I can't wait to watch that. So I'm gonna check out. We're just going to all listen to this, and I'll be back after it's over. It's about an hour, I think. And just let's all listen to this and check this out. This is interesting. This is from, again, July 5th, 2014. Was this interview.
Welcome. We're live.
Young Jerks.
Only on WEMFradio.com. And this is Mike Can sitting in with Frank Capone.
Here I am. How's everybody doing? Happy almost 4th of July.
Yeah. And we are the Young Jerks, brought to you by Greenleaf Magazine.
Pick it up. It's free.
Yeah. Thank you, Greenleaf Magazine. And this week we have something that we were plugging last week.
Switching it up
A little bit, getting into, I don't know, a story that's, it happened many years ago, but it's funny to see, like, we brought this story up. I've been checking it out. I discovered this on the web. I didn't even know anything about it. And I thought it would be interesting. And then all of a sudden the Boston Herald is posting a story yesterday related to this story, which is kind of strange.
No kidding.
Yeah, what we're talking about today is the Christa Worthington murder investigation that resulted in a conviction, and there's a lot of controversy around that trial, which I'd never realized. I had seen, the stories when it came out, but I never really followed it. I didn't really know much about it. But a website that I was checking out by a gentleman named Kevin Mulvey enlightened me to many things related to this court case and the investigation that showed a lot of local fraud in the prosecution, bad things happening, evidence being ignored, testimony being ignored, it's being suppressed, evidence being suppressed. Bad things happening.
Lots and lots of layers to this.
Yeah, lots of layers. And Kevin Mulvey has a website that he's really brought up a lot of this information. And this happened on Cape Cod back in, I think it was 2000. Well, the whole jury trial, went throughout the, mid 2000s. But, this thing has been going on. The corruption in Cape Cod has been going on for years, apparently. A lot of, if you look back at Cape Cod, it's always been known. I mean, go back to Joe Kennedy, bootlegging, right? When they bootlegging back then, and there's always been that kind of contraband pirate thing going on in Cape Cod. And recently, where this whole murder investigation happened, where this murder happened in Truro, the former police chief of Truro was arrested for drunk driving. It just came up in the Herald, and it's just a pattern of corruption down there that you'll see, and a lot of this was covered up for years, and it looks like it's coming to the surface again. And the reason we want to talk, the reason we're talking about this today is because we got to speak to Kevin Mulvey. Kevin Mulvey is somebody that is related to his nephew, is Sean Mulvey, who was a witness in the case. He testified in this case. He was also somebody who was a suspect in Christa Worthington's murder. His nephew, Kevin Mulvey's nephew, Sean Mulvey, along with his friend Jeremy Frazier. And both of these gentlemen changed their story several times about where they were, how they got where they were that night. And that automatically would be a red flag, I think, at any murder investigation, when someone changes their story, when they have lied to the authorities. Would you agree with that, Frank?
I mean, of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. And, I mean, as you had brought up, when we were speaking about it before, the guy who ended up getting convicted of it had what, an IQ of...
I think it was 76.
76.
Yeah, so they put this, the supposed person who was convicted in a room, and they questioned him for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And he changed his story like 4 or 5 times. And he had an IQ of, under 100, well under 100.
Yeah.
The average person is 100. And I look at the average person, are they intelligent enough to... withstand questioning from the police? I think not. And someone with an IQ way below the average person.
And in terms of like motive and things like that, I mean, what did the guy stand to gain from doing it? Like, as far as I could tell, nothing, right?
Well, they made it to be like a sex crime. Like there's a black man killed a white woman to have sex with her. I mean, that was how they, set up the whole thing. But we're going to definitely get into this, because the person that we really want to speak to today about this, Kevin Mulvey, hopefully we do get him on the phone. And, just how deep this goes. I mean, this goes so many different layers. We could go on and on. Personally, I've seen, and where Kevin goes with this is that he thinks that Sean Mulvey, his nephew, and Jeremy Frazier were confidential police informants, and that they were the real culprits, that they committed the murder, and that they have been protected by the police because the police were paying them as drug informants. And there's a lot of evidence of that. When you look at the court case, you can see the testimony, you can see the attorney that was representing the man convicted questioning Jeremy Frazier on the stand, and we have that clip today. We're going to play that clip today, questioning Jeremy Frazier about his past arrest and why he was never prosecuted, about Jeremy Frazier getting a call from the state police the night that Christa Worthington was murdered. All these things, and even beyond that, the attorney also had questions about Jeremy Frazier, who owned the phone. Did you see that part, Frankie?
Yeah, who did own the phone?
Yeah, well, Jeremy Frazier is definitely, I think, it's obvious he was selling drugs, right? He's got a phone. He got the phone from his coworker who he worked with at a moving company called Dave Murphy. Dave Murphy was from Somerville, Mass. Dave Murphy was convicted for manslaughter, but was originally charged with murder one. He allegedly was convicted of manslaughter for this murder. And basically what happened is they found a body with no head and no legs. And it happened at the Somerville Holiday Inn, and they found the body in New Hampshire, and Dave Murphy went down for it. And Dave Murphy was part of the Winter Hill gang.
I was just borrowing Dave's phone.
Yeah, that's a different Dave Murphy. We know a Dave Murphy. Very common name. I mean, that's what's up when you look up for the. It's funny that because I've been looking up some of these names, and some of them are, you can actually find some of these people still out there. But Dave Murphy is a hard one to find, obviously, because that name is so common. But the Dave Murphy that we're talking about, Jeremy Frazier had Dave Murphy's phone. And Dave Murphy was a convicted murderer with the Whitey Bulger Winter Hill gang, and the police didn't think anything of it. Why? Because Jeremy Frazier was also a police informant.
Huh. How's that?
Yeah. And that's what we're going to get into, because Kevin Mulvey's got so much information on this, and he's the one who brought a lot of this to light to myself, and he just doesn't, make up these things and make these accusations. He does go way further than this that I don't even want to touch because I don't have all the evidence. But what Kevin has done for me and myself, is shown us the documents, show you the testimony. It's so obvious when you hear Jeremy Frazier that he's covering something up, and we're going to play that clip today. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break, listen to some music, chill for a minute, and then we're going to come back. Hopefully we'll have Kevin Mulvey on the phone. And we'll get all into this and find out what Sean Mulvey, his nephew, said to Kevin that made Kevin think that he might have had something to do with this murder of Christa Worthington. We're going to find out directly from Kevin when we get back from this break.
And this is the Young Jerks on WEMF, and prepare to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, and if this is your first time listening to our show, please do subscribe on our Facebook, like us. I noticed some people from Cape Cod were liking the event page today and probably listening for the first time. Please like our Facebook page and check us out every week, 6 p.m. WEMF Radio, and we'll be back.
WEMF Radio.
We're back.
Live, the Young Jerks, and that was Tupac.
That's right, on WEMF Radio.
It's a good song, too, about the government. The government is watching, but we're not afraid. That's pretty much the feeling around here, is they can watch us all we want. But we have live on the telephone Kevin Mulvey, who we had talked about. Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you think that your nephew Sean has something to do with this Christa Worthington murder?
Okay. How you doing, Mike and Frank?
Awesome.
Good. Listen, try to spitball this story to you. My brother and nephew, and they are estranged. My brother had contacted me back on the weekend of the murder, and I was visiting in the Berkshires. And my career is really in New York City, and that's where I lived for over 40 years in Columbus Circle as a producer, producing television. And my brother had called up and asked me if I'd fly to Florida, because I owned a condo down there as well, to help him look for an apartment or condominium right away, because of his son always getting into nothing but trouble with his friends. So he said that he was really in a bit of a scramble. He was very upset. This went on for a couple of hours. And I did fly down there 3 weeks later and met him in Florida, where we started looking around for condominiums for him and his son to move to. And I went down a couple more times during that time period and to look for a condo. And when I did come down on one of my visits, late 2002, early 2003, Sean came by and visited with me and happened to mention that he did the worst thing he could ever do to anybody or anything. And he said, I did it. So I said, well, whatever that was, you go ahead and make up 20 times for whatever that was, and now you're down here now, and move on with your life. I didn't want to know anything more than that. I don't need to be complicit in something that somebody might be involved in, something serious. At any rate, he said, no, you don't understand. He said, I'm in this, kind of like a mercenary group that we didn't, people don't ever get to do things like this. And I said, well, I don't want to know about it. It's quite simple.
So if I could cut you off real quick, Kevin.
Sure.
How did that come up in conversation? Like, what were you like? Oh yeah, it's nice outside. I'm glad the rain's gone. By the way, I did the most terrible thing
Yeah.
on the face of the planet.
We were sitting and chatting in my condominium down in Florida. I was only there for a week or two's visit, and he just brought it up, and we were getting into conversations. And you know, he's got issues. Sean does have issues. He's a pathological liar. He's done a lot of stealing from not only breaking and entering type of stuff when he was a teenager, but also set up his own father and stole from his own grandmother, his sister. He's got problems.
And what about the father? What is the background on his father, Sean? On your
Unfortunately, my brother's always been what we call the high strung. And unfortunately, he was arrested for stalking. He was the fire chief out there in Eastham, Mass.
Okay.
And he'd come from West Haven, Connecticut as the commissioner or assistant commissioner of the fire department down in West Haven, Connecticut, where he had been arrested for stalking and had some serious issues and got convicted.
That was your brother. Sean's
he
father.
lost his job in Eastham over that. And I was very concerned about his continued problems with stalking women, and I thought it would be a good idea to go down to Florida because I thought maybe it would get him out of this. And big mistake. We got targeted by COINTELPRO, by the FBI, as a result of this, and not knowing, unbeknownst to us, because I didn't know anything about the Christa Worthington murder. I just knew he was involved in something, but I didn't know who or what. In the meantime, my business got infiltrated. My partner's business got infiltrated. And he's an Academy Award winner for Norman Rockwell's World, The American Dream, and triple Emmy winner for an ABC special, and a couple hundred other awards. I mean, you're talking some substantial careers here. And unfortunately, I found that right before 2004, my business had been infiltrated. I knew that something was going on, but I couldn't understand what it was that was happening there.
Tell us how you figured it out. How you figured out the day you figured it out.
The day I didn't figure it out until really during. I got the IRS coming after me in a heavy involvement at the end of 2004, and this is at the same time that the Massachusetts State Police were setting up that situation out there in Truro where they were doing DNA swabs on all these guys out there from 18 to 64 years old. And they were setting me up to a situation where economically I was being ruined over a 2 to 3 year time period, not knowing what was going on. IRS all of a sudden starts coming after me, so I decided what I'd do is sublet my space out in Manhattan at Columbus Circle and go down temporarily, hopefully, and live in the condo down in Clearwater, Florida. And, hopefully things would straighten out with production. I'd be able to come back up again. Well, within 2 weeks of getting there, that was the April 14th, Christopher McGowan gets reeled in. My brother calls me from his home and said, turn on the television. You're not going to believe this. This murder that happened real close to my home. Is a friend of Sean's, and he's been to my house many times. I thought, oh, God, please. So I turned on the television, and I looked at the cable news channels, and sure enough, they had this whole story on about this Christa Worthington murder, which I didn't, as I said, I didn't know who was, something, I knew something terrible happened, but I didn't know who or what it was. And at any rate, that's what it was all about. And, I don't know, at that point my brother started saying things like, he was going to give him an alibi no matter what he has to do for that kid and carrying on about all of this stuff. And anyway,
so your brother, I'm sorry, Kevin, your brother was telling his son to provide an alibi for his buddy? Is that what you just said?
No, actually, no, not at all. My nephew turned around and didn't provide any alibi at all. Matter of fact, he said he didn't even know them.
At first.
He wasn't there.
At first he said that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
My brother was telling me that my brother would make up an alibi or anything he has to do for that kid.
For Sean.
for Sean, right.
And let's talk about, because, I mean, we there's a lot of information here. A lot.
Yeah,
and,
it is. It's a huge story.
And that's, basically, for people that don't understand, you really are making the case that the government is covering this up because Sean Mulvey was a confidential informant, a drug informant, and that Jeremy Frazier, I mean, to me, he looks like a drug informant to me. He was arrested multiple times for drugs and not convicted, not prosecuted. He had the state police calling him that night when Christa was murdered. That's who was calling him, the state police, and they won't tell us what all that is about.
On a cell phone owned by one of Whitey Bulger's guys that was sent to prison for 10 years for cutting the head and hands off
for a vicious,
with another guy.
A vicious murder. I mean, a vicious.
Oh. Plus they were all working together.
I know. Yep.
Over there at a moving and storage company where Christa Worthington had a storage space over there. Don't forget Christa Worthington's boyfriend, or not boyfriend, whatever, she had the baby with, Tony. He was involved in a $15 million drug deal gone bad back in 1985. That was in Peter Mansell's book.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Provincetown.
He was, too.
And he became a confidential informant himself.
Yep.
And
McGowan tried to be a confidential informant. This is the funny thing. McGowan, when they're interviewing him, the guy who they convicted, the black guy, he said, Jeremy Frazier is a drug dealer, and I'll set him up. This is what he said to the police, and the police weren't interested. Right. Why? Because Jeremy Frazier was already a police informant. They were like, oh, we already got the bigger fish. We don't need him, right? I mean, that seemed... So then, instead, we're going to set you up for murder because we don't want our police informant to go down. That's what it seemed like happened here, is that, whether or not...
going on there.
Yeah, I mean, you go further than that. You think that I look at it. Maybe these guys were confidential informants. They did something bad, and the police got embarrassed, so they covered it up.
Well,
could that have happened?
Jeremy's the state police confidential informant there. Sean and him really weren't friends, even according to what was even coming out there during the trial. They didn't even have telephone calls between each other for weeks. That was checked out by the lawyer at the time. At all. See, what's going on there is we've got the government is our drug dealer. There's our big problem right here. You've got the CIA and the military bringing in the dope. You've got the FBI, DEA, and all of them from state and local and county, all making money off this entire scam, which is like the days of alcohol prohibition. They turned around and turned this into a huge thing for themselves. There's several other whistleblowers out there now that I've even come in contact with on Facebook that are also doing radio on alternate media out there, like Robert Tosh Plumley. He's the one who was flying drugs and weapons back and forth during Iran-Contra. He's been doing a lot of public speaking recently. You've got another investigative journalist named Daniel Hopsinger, which is wonderful work that he has delved into. And we've got investigative journalism that's kind of disappeared in this country. You guys are doing a little yourselves right now, which is wonderful. We need that more than anything in order to maintain freedom in a democracy.
Absolutely. And so when did you start putting everything together? So your brother calls you, right?
It started getting very hairy because my sister, unfortunately, had showed up unannounced. She didn't let me know she was coming by the night that the Massachusetts State Police were going to meet with Sean in Clearwater. And she asked me if I'd come along for the ride, and I said, well, I would, but I said, we can't sit right there. I said, I've got a little camera. I said I could zoom in at least see if anything's going on, because we were sure he was going to be arrested. At that point, they were coming down. I thought they were going to take his DNA sample, and they'll just match it right up right away. And
they never did, right? They never.
Anyway,
They claim they never took a DNA sample from him, right? Even though he was.
They didn't, but believe me, from what we saw and what I filmed, it sure looked like it.
Yeah, you think they did, and you think you have a picture of that on your website. I saw that.
Right.
Let me ask you another couple of questions. Like, where is Sean Mulvey right now? What is he doing? What is his life like? Has he? I mean, how many years ago did this happen? Now
He is bragging about the fact that he's working for some part of law enforcement. As you can see, I put the picture on the website now. He's got a Ford Crown Victoria with just like the cops drive around in, whether it's CIA or whether or not he's part of the Homeland Security or whatever. Obviously, they've employed him. It's a reward.
what your website's been up for how many years now?
I put it up in 2011.
11 years.
3 years now.
Oh, how many? Oh, 2000.
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I put it up after McGowan. Well, after the Supreme Judicial Court put a thumbs down to McGowan.
Okay. So what is there? Have you heard from your brother or or that side of the family, Sean, since you put up this website?
No, we don't. No, I stay far away from them. I've actually had my brother had the nerve to show up here about a year or so ago, where I am now, which I don't divulge where that is, over radio, of course.
Sure.
But
It's funny.
I mean, there's a lot of information.
What did I do? I just screwed it up. Hopefully we didn't lose that. The reason I want to jump in is I'm listening to this for the first time in like 11 years. I listened to maybe the first 10 minutes, but I'm just catching things as he's saying it. And one of the things he said about his nephew, Sean Mulvey, the witness for the government, is that he was a thief, that he did a lot of larceny. He steals stuff. What do you know? What do you know? Just looking up today, guess what I found? Guess what I found about Sean Mulvey today? This is from Pinellas County. I believe this is the same Sean Mulvey. St. Petersburg, Florida. Burglary with battery. $50,000 plus bond. This is recent. 2021. 2021. We're going to talk about that too. Those charges were dismissed. You never know if they were true, but geez, these guys, they haven't stayed out of trouble. Let's put it that way. Let's go back to the video. Can we get the video back up? Hopefully we didn't skip ahead or skip behind. I think we're good.
Information here, a lot.
Yeah,
and
it is. It's a huge story.
And that's it. Basically, for people that don't understand, you really are making the case that the government is covering this up because Sean Mulvey was a confidential informant, a drug informant, and that Jeremy Frazier, I mean, to me, he looks like a drug informant to me. He was arrested multiple times for drugs and not convicted, not prosecuted. He had the state police calling him that night when Christa was murdered. That's who was calling him, the state police, and they won't tell us what all that is about.
On a cell phone owned by one of Whitey Bulger's guys that was sent to prison for 10 years for cutting the head and hands off
for a vicious murder. I mean, vicious.
Oh. Plus they were all working together.
I know.
Over there at a moving and storage company where Christa Worthington had a storage space over there. Don't forget Christa Worthington's boyfriend, or not boyfriend, whatever, she had the baby with, Tony. He was involved in a $15 million drug deal gone bad back in 1985. That was in Peter Mansell's book.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Provincetown.
He was, too.
And he became a confidential informant himself.
Yep.
And
McGowan tried to be a confidential informant. This is the funny thing. McGowan, when they're
replay it. I screwed it up, but we're replaying this little section. But I just want to remind people who are coming in, or let them know, new people. This is a 2014 interview I did on the Young Jerks with the uncle of a witness in the Christa Worthington trial. His name is Kevin Mulvey. Kevin has since passed away. We're listening to an interview with somebody who is no longer here. He wanted this information to get out. We interviewed him. We took him very seriously. He had a website up. He had a bunch of information. There was a picture of a tattoo on Sean Mulvey's arm that looked like the death scene. It was a woman being stabbed by a devil in the heart. I can't find that photo anymore. If anyone has that photo, please forward it to me. mjcboston1@yahoo.com, or hit us up on Twitter or Facebook on the Young Jerks. We're going to be looking very heavily into this Sean Mulvey and this angle, and Brendan the Fraser. These guys are sus, and it seemed like the law enforcement did everything not to look at them. And this is the interview from back in 2014. It's funny too, because I get this a lot from people who are kind of new to our channel, who say, "Oh, you just figured out how corrupt Massachusetts is." This is 2014. This is 11 years ago. I was already a decade into this shit. I've been covering corruption for 20 years. You know, and sometimes as a print journalist, sometimes as an internet radio station. That's what this was. This was streaming internet radio back in the day. So I know all about the corruption. We've been exposing it for a long time, and we're going to dig back into this. This is something where I talked to the attorney today who was disbarred at one point. He was disbarred from money laundering. He's a former prosecutor in Norfolk County under the predecessor, the person who came before Meatball Morrissey. He was under Delahunt, and he's been on both sides of a lot of the corruption. And he's going to be coming on the show very soon to talk all about this case and why he thinks the wrong man's in jail. And so this is an interview from 2014 with a person that's no longer here, who is the uncle of Sean Mulvey, who I want to talk to. I'm looking to talk to Sean Mulvey. If you know Sean Mulvey from the Clearwater, Florida area, let him know. We want to talk to him. Or Jeremy Fraser from Cape Cod. And Sean Mulvey, his father was the fire chief of the Eastham, the next town over. And he had lost his job for stalking. So this is the family background. You don't think they know everybody in town? You don't think they got connections? And the son and his buddy are slinging weed. At least, I don't know if they slung any other drugs, but they were definitely slinging some weed. And they got busted. And they seem to be informants, all of them. And you just heard Kevin talk about another potential suspect, the father of the baby, who was married, Tony. He had been busted for drugs too, apparently. He had a big bust himself.
Interviewing him, the guy who they convicted, the black guy, he said Jeremy Fraser is a drug dealer, and I'll set him up. This is what he said to the police, and the police weren't interested. Right. Why? Because Jeremy Fraser was already a police informant. They were like, "Oh, we already got the bigger fish. We don't need him." Right? I mean, that seemed so then, instead we're gonna set you up for murder because we don't want our police informant to go down. That's what it seemed like happened here. Is that whether or not
going on there.
Yeah, I mean, you go further than that. You think that I look at it. Maybe these guys were confidential informants. They did something bad, and the police got embarrassed, so they covered it up.
Well,
could that have happened?
Jeremy's the state police confidential informant there. Sean and him really weren't friends, even according to what was even coming out there during the trial. They didn't even have telephone calls between each other for weeks. That was checked out by the lawyer at the time. At all. See, what's going on there is we've got the government is our drug dealer. There's our big problem right here. You've got the CIA and the military bringing in the dope. You've got the FBI, DEA, and all of them from state and local and county, all making money off this entire scam, which is like the days of alcohol prohibition. They turned around and turned this into a huge thing for themselves. There's several other whistleblowers out there now that I've even come in contact with on Facebook that are also doing radio on alternate media out there, like Robert Tosh Plumley. He's the one who was flying drugs and weapons back and forth during Iran-Contra. He's been doing a lot of public speaking recently. You've got another investigative journalist named Daniel Hopsicker, which is wonderful work that he has delved into. And we've got investigative journalism that's kind of disappeared in this country. You guys are doing a little yourselves right now, which is wonderful. You know, we need that more than anything in order to maintain freedom in a democracy.
Absolutely. And so when did you start putting everything together? Like, so your brother calls you, right?
It started getting very hairy because my sister, unfortunately, had showed up unannounced. You know, she didn't let me know she was coming by the night that the Massachusetts State Police were going to meet with Sean in Clearwater. And she asked me if I'd come along for the ride, and I said, well, I would, but I said, you know, I mean, we can't sit right there. I said, I've got a little camera. I said I could zoom in at least see if anything's going on, because we were sure he was going to be arrested. You know, at that point, they were coming down. I thought they were going to take his DNA sample, and they'll just match it right up right away.
And they never did, right?
And
they never.
Anyway,
They claim they never took a DNA sample from him, right? Even though he was.
They didn't, but believe me, from what we saw and what I filmed, it sure looked like it.
Yeah, you think they did, and you think you have a picture of that on your website. I saw that.
Right.
Let me ask you another couple of questions. Like, where is Sean Mulvey right now? What is he doing? What is his life like? Has he? I mean, how many years ago did this happen? Now
he is bragging about the fact that he's working for some part of law enforcement. As you can see, I put the picture on the website now. He's got a Ford Crown Victoria with you know, just like the cops drive around in, whether it's CIA or whether or not he's part of the Homeland Security or whatever. Obviously, they've employed him. You know, it's a reward.
What your website's been up for how many years now?
I put it up in 2011.
11 years.
3 years now.
Oh, how many? Oh,
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I put it up after McGowan. Well, after the Supreme Judicial Court put a thumbs down to McGowan.
Okay. So what is there? Have you heard from your brother or or that side of the family, Sean, since you put up this website?
No, we don't. No, I stay far away from them. I've actually had my brother had the nerve to show up here about a year or so ago, where I am now, which I don't divulge where that is, you know, for radio, of course.
Sure.
But at any rate, he actually showed up here, and I had to speak with law enforcement about it. And if he ever did come around here again, he's made a sorry mistake.
Yeah.
No, I don't speak with them at all, for obvious reasons. Would you?
No. I mean, I'm just wondering if you've heard anything.
I'm still in shock that my brother would turn around and do something like that to a family member to put them into harm's way like this. I'm infuriated with this guy.
Yeah.
You know.
So what did he come to your house for?
That's a hell of a thing, you know?
What did he come to your house for?
Oh, he thought he was going to be a wise guy. He thinks he's in the mafia. Believe me, he's not any mafia. He's nothing but a big mouth. You know, what a horrible person. I'm very, very disturbed with him. You know, and, I mean, come on, he's convicted stalker. He was, you know, told to stay on medication. You know, he had to go to probation and all of that. And then he turned around and bought a home right near the woman, who, even after he was told not to go near the woman, and he got within 1,000 feet of her house. You know, this is a kook. You know. And unfortunately, this is why, I got involved, even from the standpoint of flying to Florida, thinking that I was maybe helping her out from keeping him away from her. Wrong. You know, not knowing what was going on there between him and his son being out there on the Cape in that drug cartel criminals that they ran.
Hear that this is the brother of Sean Mulvey's father. and he basically described the ex-fire chief as like a wannabe mafia guy, like the whole family. I mean that's why I think Kevin's so paranoid about this stuff, and I think he went a little beyond what's probably reality, but still, if you listen to what the family talk is, that's what's the most important about this interview. This is a 2014 interview with the uncle of the witness, Sean Mulvey, and the Christa Worthington. And Sean looks like he's, pretty recently been arrested again for larceny with violence, with battery.
Into with the police and the district attorney and the law enforcement and everything else. This is a nightmare. Do you know they went after everybody? Just
Yeah.
you saw
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. I want to stop you right there because I do want to get into that. We're gonna get into who all the people that they went after, because they have gone after a lot of people. A lot of lives have been changed. But we do have a clip that I want to play because I think people need to hear Jeremy Frazier on the stand. Jeremy Frazier was Sean Mulvey's. No, I guess they weren't that close friends, but I'm going to call him his friend because that friend in the crime, maybe, allegedly could have something to do with this crime. Associate. He was on the stand. They were co-employees together at this moving company. And Jeremy is getting asked by the attorney for McGowan, who is one of those people, the attorney,
Two guys who are still around, these two witnesses. Jeremy Frazier, who lives still around on Cape Cod, apparently, and Sean Mulvey, who I believe lives in Florida, around the Clearwater area. Sean Mulvey is who we're talking about tonight. Kevin, his uncle, is no longer. He's deceased. This is an interview from 2014. We're listening to an interview with someone who is deceased, and he called out his nephew and his brother related to their actions about Christa Worthington. So those are the two guys I want to talk to. I want to talk to the two witnesses, Sean Mulvey and Jeremy Frazier.
Bad things happen to this attorney, and this attorney has been fighting the FBI and the police with all of these mafia cases. He's represented many mobsters and shown the government corruption. And you can tell he's taking it there against Jeremy Frazier. He's asking him some pointed questions, and listen to how weak Jeremy Frazier, his response are to these questions about who called you, who owned the phone, just basic questions that Jeremy Frazier definitely does not want to answer. He's on the stand. This is during the murder trial. This is with Bob George, the attorney, questioning Robert George, the attorney, questioning Jeremy Frazier. And we're going to hear Jeremy in his own words trying to answer some of these questions that we still don't have answers to. The police have never, the prosecution, DA O'Keefe, none of these folks have ever told the public what actually happened here. And we're trying to find out, and this is the closest we get right here, this clip we're going to hear.
Do you have any memory today, as you stand in the witness stand, of being asked about that phone number on September 29th, 2011?
No.
Now, as you read that report to yourself,
Yep.
did you discuss at any time with the police that phone number on your cell phone?
I don't remember.
Now, before I ask you the next question, you told us earlier that you've been arrested 3 or 4 times, but you've never been prosecuted?
As I collect, yes.
That's what you told us. 5. Can you tell us what that conversation was about?
I didn't talk to nobody from the state police on that phone.
It's your phone record, isn't it? Right here on the screen? It's your phone record, right?
Yes,
right?
I didn't talk to no state police before this.
And this is the state police phone record, exhibit number 70. You see that, right?
Yes.
Now, it says that you received a phone call from someone at the state police barracks here in South Yarmouth at 12:03 in the night. You don't remember where you were. You see that, don't you?
Yes.
You saying all the papers wrong?
I didn't talk to no state police before this.
Well, now that you've seen it.
Yes,
now that you've seen it. Where did you get that call from at 12:03 a.m.?
I don't know.
Who called you from the state police barracks?
Nobody.
Okay, you told me you didn't talk to a state policeman, but you got a call from the...
Remind you of the McAlberts? Oh, I don't remember the phone calls. This is Jeremy Frazier, the witness, on the stand, And he's got on his phone records and the state police phone records that there was a call between them the night of the murder to the state police barracks. He's like, I didn't talk to any state police. I'm surprised he didn't say it was a butt dial.
State police barracks, because that's what the exhibit showed. So, who did you receive a phone call if you remember?
I didn't receive no phone call from no police officer on my phone at that time.
Now,
It says that on the record, but I didn't receive no phone call and talk to no state police officer at that time.
well, you see the connection between the phone calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saw that the phone call went through, right?
Yep.
Was anyone else carrying your cell phone at that time?
I don't remember.
You told us a few minutes ago that you were making phone calls to young ladies at that point, right?
Yes.
You told us that you don't remember where you were at 12:03 because you were so drunk that you don't remember where you were, right?
Nah.
Right?
No.
So if you don't remember where you were, can you remember who you were receiving phone calls from?
No.
So you don't have any idea who called you from the state police barracks, do you?
Nobody called me from state barracks.
Now, why don't we go back to your record? You could just look at it yourself. Can you show me where on this page there's anywhere that you dialed the state police barracks so that they would call you back? Just on that page.
No.
You didn't call them, right?
No, I didn't.
The only thing that shows you calling is your pager, right? Or something you call your pager.
That's my pick. Yep.
You used to call people back in those days who carried pagers? Did you used to call people who carried pagers?
I don't remember.
You don't?
No.
You used to call state police troopers who wore pagers?
No.
You see the pager there that says 978? Are you positive that's your
That's
pager?
my pager, yes.
And you told the police that when they talked with you?
That's my
You
pager.
didn't say that? Did you tell them it was your pager?
Yes.
Or did you just tell them it was a pager?
No, it's my pager.
But you didn't tell them anything about this incoming call, did you?
There you go. Yeah, Jeremy Fraser trying to explain away why he got a call from the state police on the night of the murder. That he answered the call. I mean, it's clear. He's not denying that he had the cell phone in his possession. He just doesn't remember.
No.
I mean, it just. Did you hear his voice though?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, no. And the best is like when you get that like 50-second pause, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
Like totally. I mean,
Who do you think? This is the Young Jerks. We're speaking to Kevin Mulvey on WEMF radio. Who do you think might have called from that state police barracks to Jeremy Fraser that night, Kevin Mulvey?
My feeling is there's one of two people that called him, and that's either the state trooper Chris Mason, who is now the captain of the state police underneath the district attorney, which is a dirty district attorney, Mike O'Keefe. Was either the handler there for Jeremy Fraser, or it's another sergeant that's now retired named Thomas Hester, because he's the one who went to Jeremy Fraser's house and took him up to the Truro Police Department while at the same time they were interviewing Chris McGowan down at the South Yarmouth Barracks. So there's only one of those are the only two that I could figure out that he was referring to during that trial. Those are the only two ones. Those are the only two people that it could be. One of those two guys. They've got the phone numbers. They've even got the phone numbers to where Jeremy called 27 or 26 times, and they never went and looked up that number.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the state police's cell phones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Robert George also questioned, I believe it was Mason, or maybe it was the other one. There's two cops there, two state police officers. He questioned them both, but one of them I was watching the testimony on, and he was asking them directly about those phone calls, and he was like, "Oh, did you know that they were also friends with, worked with Dave Murphy, and he had Dave Murphy's phone from Somerville?" And the state police were like, "No, we didn't know, we didn't care." Like they were like it was not important, like it just did not matter. It's like, are you kidding me?
Whitey's crew.
Yeah.
Right.
And you couldn't figure out who murdered this woman for how many months, went on and on and on and on. But you had all this information. You had all this information on these two guys, Sean Mulvey and Jeremy Fraser, who it's so obvious that they had something to do with this.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna actually.
Sean's working for the FBI,
Yep.
and Jeremy was state police, and actually they were being played off each other. I don't think either one knew. Either one was being set up, to
Yep.
tell you the truth.
And I'm going to give both, you know, I want to make sure we make this statement that Sean Mulvey, Jeremy Fraser, Dave Murphy, any of these people are welcome to call in, to come on our show. You know, you can find us on Facebook.com, The Young Jerks. We will welcome you to speak your side of the story. I am a fair person. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I'll retract. I always do. I have, I think, done that once in the past. But, you know, typically we're right. I hate to say it, but and the way I could say that is because they won't have the balls to come on here. And if they really are like scary people, you know, really show some balls, gentlemen, and come on the show and admit what happened. Like, it's been how many years? It's time for the truth to come out. If you're, you know, if you were a victim to this program and you got sucked into it, just expose it. Be ballsy and tell the truth, because Christa Worthington shouldn't have died this way. It was a horrible death. The daughter Ava was clutching her mom. The way that they found the daughter with the blood on her, on the mom's, you know, laying on the mom. I mean, it's just a horrific crime. And I really do feel like we don't know enough. This McGowan, he may have had something to do with it, but I really do think he was a patsy. It has everything that you tell us. What happened to the Robert George, the attorney that was just questioning? You saw him questioning Jeremy Fraser. You could tell that he was putting the police and the prosecutors on trial for this. What happened to Robert George since then, the attorney?
Well, unfortunately, they turned around. I spoke with Robert George on several occasions. I spoke with a few people even during and after the trial. It was pretty stunning what was going on. As I said to them, we're being stalked. We're being stalked in Florida. We have these gangs of stalkers. We don't know who they are. And it's really frightening. I mean, we're feared for our lives. This followed me to New York. I finally had to run and abandon my home in Florida. I had to sell it out without ever going back. We left everything, car, clothes, you know, everything that I ever worked for, and lost my place down there, and came back to Manhattan, and I ran up against it there, too. I ran up against it in Massachusetts when I was there as well. This is part of the FBI's counterintelligence program. They're totally rogue. I went to Director Mueller. He sent me but here's the problem. Director Mueller is one of the biggest part of the criminals out there. He was a Boston federal prosecutor in the mid-'80s when Bolzer they were at their peak, becoming the new mob when they were taking down the mafia. That's what we have running our country today.
Is Robert George in jail right now?
Yes, he's in jail for 3.5 years. They actually set him up on drug money laundering charges, and it was quite a scam. He had a former client that was a drug dealer, I guess, and not I guess, he was, and they used him as an informant to set him up with saying that he had some money from the jobs, I guess, that he used to do, and he needed to get it clean. So, unfortunately, Robert George fell for it. And from what I've gathered, I didn't go to the trial, I couldn't, but from what I gathered, he was convicted of $20,000 worth of laundering money.
And he'll never get to be an attorney again, is that right, if he gets out?
Obviously. I can't imagine it.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, that's just...
The new mob took care of him.
Yep, they took care of him. I mean, he had been... really putting a dent into the FBI. If you look at his page and all he did from the 70s until then, I mean,
wow, folks, imagine if after Karen Reed is found innocent, they charge with they set up with an informant, like say Alan Jackson. Basically, what they did here. They used an informant to set up an attorney that exposed too much of their bullshit in a trial. That's what I believe happened. And Robert George has suffered. He got disbarred. This was a very successful trial attorney. This is a guy that was on the level of a Betterow, Kevin Reddington. You know, he's on that level. Alan Jackson, any of the attorneys. You know, Yannetti. Alessi. He was on that level. He got disbarred. He recently got his law license back, and I had a conversation with him actually today. And he's going to come on the show maybe Thursday night. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's listen to a little more of this. This is a 2014 interview with someone who is no longer here, somebody who is deceased. He is the uncle of Sean Mulvey. It's SHAWN, Sean Mulvey, MULVEY, Sean Mulvey. He is the uncle of Sean Mulvey, talking about conversations he had with Sean and his father, who was Eastham, however we say that, Eastham, fire chief who lost his job for stalking.
I mean, he had really exposed them. He had gotten huge lawsuits against the FBI. And this continues. You know, Mark Rossetti, the head of the New England mob, just this year.
He exposed Mark Rossetti.
There you go.
He's the one who brought it out.
Robert George, yeah. It's unbelievable. And even the gentleman that wrote the book, what's his name? Manso.
Manso.
What happened with him? He wrote, what book did he write? What's the name of the book first?
He wrote a book called The Reasonable Doubt. With something with the garbage man on there in the title. Or with Chris.
Kevin and I were wrong. Unbeknownst to both of us, Attorney George did get he's back as an attorney. And I was talking to him a little bit about that today, Attorney George, Bob George. And he said there's only been a couple people that have ever faced what he faced and got their law license back in Massachusetts. He's like one of like a handful. It just shows you how quality of an attorney he is to be able to overcome all of that to become an attorney again.
Christa Worthington. It was something. It was the whole story of just the trial and what was going on, and a lot of people and how people had been targeted and whatever. He didn't get into the whole COINTELPRO aspect of it, except for the fact that at least he did mention that he had had her.
Oh, I want to thank you for that. Eastham. That's how I'm going to say it. Eastham. Thank you. I knew the locals would tell me. I never got that far really on the Cape. I had gone to Provincetown a few times. I think I stayed there a couple nights, but mostly we're more Dennis. We used to stay at Dennisport when we were kids, actually.
Diary, and it had ruminations of COINTELPRO, and he also mentioned that in an interview that he gave when he came out with his book on a Provincetown radio channel. They went after a lot of people, guys.
And what did they go after him for? What did the author?
They went after him for drug money laundering.
No, not that was the lawyer. I'm talking about Pete. No, the author. What happened to the author? They went after. The police went after him.
Oh yeah, evidently he said the police locally turned around and said that an alarm system which he had just had put on his home went off when he wasn't there. He has a home out in Berkeley, California too. And evidently the alarm, or you have to go by whatever they say, went off, and they went out and they claimed that they saw a gun hanging out of his closet of his home. Now, I can't imagine that in my wildest dreams, but at any rate, they turned around and brought him up on charges because it hadn't been re-registered or licensed again.
So there's an author that wrote all about this trial. And he had a very skeptical angle on this. He heavily relied on Attorney George. And the book sold well. It was like featured everywhere on ABC television. It was like a big book. The police went after the author, the journalist, too. So not only did they go after the attorney, they went after the journalist, too. The local journalist that had a best-selling book about this. Because he exposed too much. I think I have that book somewhere. I think I bought it back like 11 years ago. I looked it up on Amazon today. I'm going to buy it. There's two versions. The paperback is like sold out. It's kind of an expensive book. I'm going to get the hardcover version. I'm definitely buying that book. Peter Manso is the author. I'll probably hit him up too, see if we can get him on the show. But this Think about this. They went after the attorney and the journalist, but they didn't go after Sean Mulvey or Jeremy Frazier.
And as a result, they almost sent him to jail for 50 years. You know, luckily he got off of it. He had to hire one of Bob George's bosses, Bolero.
It's funny. Was Bob George Morrissey's mentor? I think Delahunt, who was Bob George's boss at one point, was Morrissey's mentor. So it'd be interesting when Bob George comes on, because I'm going to ask him about Morrissey. I'm going to ask him about Delahunt too, because there's a lot of smoke around both of those guys. And it's funny, I have family connections to them. I have some weird family connections, folks, to my girlfriend, with the Bulgers and the Delahunts and all the political establishment at that time. I have some stories. I don't share them, but geez, man, the stuff I hear from the family, stuff I'm not going to talk about because it can't be verified. It's just wild, the stories. All right, let's get back. Enough about me. Let's get back into this.
I'm sure you've heard of him. He goes all the way back to the four guys that were set up to go to prison and that won the $107 million suit back in 2007 with Julianne Bolero, if you remember that.
I do.
Remember that case?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, yes, we do.
So he had to hire that lawyer, and then he turned around and hired Kevin Reddington, and eventually got off on those charges and got it squashed. But, I mean, he went through hell. The jurors, they went after the three that turned around and complained after the trial was over about jury bias. They went after one guy for computer stuff.
So where do you fall into all this, Kevin? So like you got all this, you have all this information. It's out on the web. You know, have you taken it to like?
Up here for a second. The book that we were just talking about, his name is Peter Mansow. The book is called Reasonable Doubt: The Fashion Raider, Cape Cod, and the Trial of Chris McGowan. I'm going to end up posting that and showing it on the show so people can check it out. I got it up on Simon and Shrewsbury. I'll post it in the chat.
Martha Coakley, have you taken it to people?
Oh, yes. Martha Coakley should be in jail. This woman is absolutely, it's a frightening thought to think that she'd even be possibly running for governor. That's really scary. She sent down two of her police officers from her department to Florida. They were only there for one thing, to try to get me to shut up, go away. You know, that's all it was all about. I brought along two witnesses that also agreed with me, said the same thing. They're not here for you at all. No, she's not a good woman.
All right, so you had Martha Coakley's office. You brought it to her. Who else did you bring
He's
it to?
brought it to everybody.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
With my congressman in Florida,
Okay.
Gus Bilirakis. They turned around and they brought it to, along with the police report from Florida, to the Inspector General or the Attorney General's office in the United States, Glenn Fine, and they turned around and got a rogue email from some unknown source, which shouldn't have even had their email, let alone know that we were under an attack like this. They turned around and said to me, now that you know where it's coming from, can't you just go and live your life normally now? That's how it was left with my congressman in Florida. I went to Schumer's office in New York. He was my senator there. I also went to Maloney, Carolyn Maloney. Both of them, they said there's nothing they can do. Get a lawyer. No lawyer in the country, and I talked to some of the biggest ones, guys, they wouldn't touch it. They said it's all corruption from the top to the bottom.
Yep. And those are really hard cases to win. I know, because I've had a friend that was set up by a confidential informant, where a crime was never committed. He was found innocent, charges dismissed. The confidential informant was a child molester, it turned out, and a prime suspect of the Molly Bish murder. His name is actually I forgot his name actually, but But you get the point. And no lawyer would take the case, the civil case. Like the statute of limitations has gone by on his court case. But I mean, this stuff goes on every day, and I know it's not worth the risk to the lawyers. It's not worth the risk because they'll end up in jail like Robert George. Look how gifted Robert George was and what he's done, and he still ended up in jail I mean,
I might put my own gang together to go after all of them, and
yeah.
start seeing what it's all about.
Well, I think
They cost me everything in my life.
Yeah. Well,
For what? For us taxpayers to continue to pay for these criminals?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
And I think that's the point. When the average person speaks up, not an attorney, not the establishment, the average people, that's when things change. And that's what happened with the Whitey Bulger. Like they haven't been able to control. The FBI is powerful. They have all this resource, but they're really slow. When we break these stories, they can't control them anymore. They didn't want Whitey to get exposed. They didn't want all of these things to happen. Now they're just trying to keep it smaller than it really was. And we're seeing there's more of this going on. It happens all the time, not just in Boston, all over the country.
Whitey Bulger was in Clearwater, Florida during the winter. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
I went to the FBI in Tampa Regional on March 16th, 2007, terrified. And a week later, they sent Whitey out to a location where I was blogging on a website. How do you like that? You know who turned around and really brought him in was the NSA.
Yeah, how about that?
I had written to the NSA and the CIA wanting my Freedom of Information Act records. They waited 14 and a half months, and the day they brought Whitey in, they sent me a letter saying I could take him to court.
Wow. How about that?
You tell me who brought Whitey in.
I wouldn't doubt it, because I mean we're showing that this happens all the time with the NSA, that they get involved in these things we never know. 617-750-5100 is the number. We're
500.
What are
617-500-7100.
Oh, I said the wrong number this week.
Yeah.
Did I?
Oh, you said the right number.
No, I said the wrong number this week. 617
500
7100.
Bam.
Thank you, Frank.
Give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. The Young Jerks, if you're listening and you want to call in, you got a question on this, definitely do give us a call. But we're just about out of time. We do have to wrap it up. I appreciate you coming on here, Kevin. What can people do to get the word out on this, or even follow up on it, find more information? Tell us where your website is. Quickly, what do you got?
My website is called libertyandjusticeunited.org. And that's all one word, libertyandjusticeunited.org. And I've got a lot of information on there, and it has all the entire, the trial, the case, the situation. I mean, the people in our country have to pull together because they don't live by any law. And I'm talking about any of them. I'm talking about federal, state, county, and local. That they have turned this into their own little, they've bankrupted this country. And there's absolutely there's no morals. Nothing. No integrity.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And
listen, guys,
please keep us up to date.
I appreciate talking to you, and I'm glad that we got a chance to get a little of this out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for speaking out, too.
Great. Good talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Be good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We are the Young Jerks. We are on WEMFradio.com. That was Kevin Mulvey talking about the murder of Christa Worthington, and a lot of conspiracy there. What do you think, Frank?
I mean, it's just... the way I normally think about these kind of things is if, you're really, really onto something, then they just kill you.
But they don't.
But
why were they going to kill him?
Just to shut him up. Just to shut him up. I don't think so. He hasn't been covered in the media until today, really. Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. I think that something's there. I mean, you got these two guys, Sean Mulvey and Jeremy Frazier. I mean, these guys were the most likely culprits. When you put up the lineup, and we didn't even get to some more information. I mean, Jeremy Frazier had talked to another kid, And just months before the Christa Worthington murder, another black kid, it turned out, and said, "Hey, I want to rob somebody, a lady who's got some valuable coins and possessions, and you want to hold her? You want to get in on this job with me?" And the other dude said, "No."
That's classic Massachusetts institutionalized racism right there. You know, we'll just blame it on the black guy.
Well, doesn't it seem like that's what they were doing? Looking for the fall guy?
It does.
Looking for the fall guy, and that they had this plan?
I'm no.
I love this. This was back. How many years ago was it? This was 2014. We had this conversation. This is Frank Capone when he was my co-host on the Young Jerks. We were just a streaming show. We weren't on YouTube. Sometimes we put some of our audio clips on there, but we were a live streaming show on the internet with a station. And that was an interview, 2014, Young Jerks interview with the uncle of Christa Worthington, witness Sean Mulvey. And that was his uncle. And what were Frank and I saying? Pin it on the black guy. Pin it on the black. How things don't change. Now, instead of, pin it on the black guy, instead of pin it on the big black scary guy, it was pin it on the girl with Karen Reed, right? Doesn't it seem the same too? Like it's so much of the same. Like the institutional players where Sean Mulvey's father was the Eastham fire chief who got fired for stalking. And these two informants, Sean Mulvey and Jeremy Frazier, those were the witnesses for the state. The people who might have actually done it. And especially the robbery angle, because if we're looking at the robbery angle, that's why I wanted to play this tonight, because the uncle, Kevin, knows his nephew, Sean. And what did he say back in 2014? That Sean liked to do larcenies. He liked to do the breaking and entering. He even stole from relatives. And I look him up today, and it looks like in September 2021, looks like he picked up a new charge. He had a $50,000 bond. He got caught burglary with battery, with violence. He's still doing burglaries, age 46. I guess Kevin was right about his nephew. And then you hear that Jeremy was kind of looking to do the same thing. I like, Kevin, if you listen to the interview, Kevin goes a little bit further than I think it goes. He seems to think it's like this big conspiracy with the FBI and the mob. Maybe there's an element to it, but I just look at it like, what's the most likely? I think that this guy, this McGowan, might have actually had sex with Christa Worthington, just like he said. He's out partying with Sean Mulvey and Kevin. I mean, Jeremy Frazier. I keep saying Kevin. Jeremy Frazier. So McGowan's out partying with Frazier and Mulvey. They're having some drinks. And there's like an after party they go to or somewhere. And there's some discussion about who goes to what, goes to the after party, all that stuff, right? But think about it. If you're McGowan and you're out drinking and you're a single guy and you just had sex with a woman that was attractive and a professional woman in a nice house, you might say, hey, it's late night. I'm going to make a booty call. I'm going to call her up and go for round 2, right? And maybe he's bragged to his friends, Mulvey and Frazier, about this professional woman in a nice house that lives alone with her baby. And there's all kinds of nice, I'm sure there were lots of nice antiques and valuables in that house because Christa inherited things. Her father was rich, right? And maybe he even says to the guys, hey, why don't you come over? We'll continue the party. Maybe we'll have a foursome. Maybe he said that. Maybe he was thinking that, bragging to the guys. Or maybe the guy said, hey, you go in and have fun, and while you're having fun, we'll come in and rob her. There's so many scenarios that could have played here. Right? And none of it was explored by the police. And this is what I'm going to show you. We're going to go 8 p.m. Hopefully we're going to go all watch JFK show. But there was also this too. This is a story about, when it happened, and this is about them questioning Mulvey on the stand. This is Robert George. Sean Mulvey admitted yesterday he was sold a bag of marijuana to an undercover officer just before moving to Florida in late May or early June 2005. Mulvey had testified Wednesday that he was with Jeremy Frazier on the reported night of Christa Worthington's murder, and that Frazier was not with Christopher McGowan. So he was an alibi. That alibi changed. That story changed. He admitted he sold weed. We know Frazier did as well. And a few more links I want to share tonight. Bring this one. Wired Gypsy. Let's hold on one second here. So this is from July 31, July 31st, 2017. So this is a few years after I did that interview, like 3 years after I did that interview. Worthington trial figure charged in child rape. Jeremy Frazier was charged with child rape. The story reads, this is, I believe, from the Cape Cod Times, says Frazier's arrest is likely to add fuel to longtime Cape Cod rumors that he was involved in the murder of Christa Worthington in 2001. Perhaps no element more so than the 5-year-old's statement to Child Services that Frazier fights often with her mother on 2 occasions, portraying them as he choked her to death. Now, I got to say, charges ended up getting dismissed against Frazier later. And the father of that child actually also had a history of violence. But all of these people seem like they've had trouble backgrounds. I think that's the big takeaway from this. Look at who they're around. This story, I could read this whole story. We don't have enough time. I will actually probably read it on the show later because it does give us more background. But I'm just going to post it in the chat tonight. I just wanted to introduce this tonight to us because we're going to have Robert George on the show very soon. And we're going to continue to cover all of this. I posted that story in the chat so you can see it. Do we got some turbulence in the chat, or is everything good? Oh, Turtle's here. Oh, man. Turtle, I don't know, man. I don't know why you have to come in. It's like, we're not talking about you. All right. Man. All right. So let's this is the big one I want to show up on the screen right now. Lost evidence found in Christa Worthington murder case. This also happened very recently. Barnstable Superior Court Associate Justice Mark Gildea Jr. on May 22nd approved the order. McGowan sought to conduct DNA tests and fabric analysis of a blue and white sweater that was worn by Jeremy Frazier the night of the murder, according to court documents. So this recently happened where they actually finally found the sweater. And the reason why this sweater was important is because there were fibers found under her fingernails that were blue and white like his sweater. And if you look at what happened here, is they basically lost this sweater. until just recently. Evidence go missing. Does it sound familiar? Yeah, Reasonable Doubt by Peter Mansell. That's the book. Definitely going to be buying that book. So this is the book, Reasonable Doubt, The Fashion Writer, Cape Cod, and the Trial of Chris McGowan. We'll definitely be going over the book. I think we're just about good. I think we covered everything I want to cover tonight. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're looking into. Thank you. Thank you. No drama here. This is not a drama channel. If people like the drama, if that's what they want, that's so be it. But that's not what we're doing. That's not what I'm doing. I like trying to help people with my channel. And I think they might have pinned it on a black guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's innocent. I just think we need to look into this more. And we are going to look into this more. We're going to talk to Robert George, the attorney, who again was disbarred and got his law license back recently. We're definitely going to be talking to him. And Friday, I have an interview too with another attorney I just booked. That's going to be coming up on the Grace Curley show on Friday, and that's going to be about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And tomorrow night, I think Larry from Sturm is going to come on, and we're going to talk about police chief in Methuen who is facing charges in Essex County, a bunch of felonies. So we're going to continue to just cover corruption. That's what we do here. I've taken a lot of hits, a lot of shit. I don't respond because I really don't care. I know who I am. Robbie last night reminded me again of who I am, how I always kind of have risen to the top. I made things better around me. I'm a good programmer. I'm good at that. That's why that Hemp Fest blew up when I ran it, and why it lost the feeling it had. It lost the big acts when I left. Robbie noticed it. We talked about that last night. I just threw up a couple of my awards in the background, journalism awards before Karen Reed. So I'm going to stick to what I've been doing for 20 years. And I'm glad I have an audience, any type of audience. It's larger than it was. I will say I am thankful for Turtle Boy for taking me on the ride. It was fucking great. I loved it while it lasted. Uh, it's been kind of a personal issue that got blown up. I regret the few days I kind of lost my shit. My life is not going to be Turtle Boy derangement syndrome. Pretty much, it's just not. It's just not. You know, someday we might be able to work it out. It is what it is. But for now, I just don't want to go there. I just don't want to go there with him. I don't. You know, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have said the shit I said publicly. And I'm just leaving it at that. You know, sometimes friends get in fights. It happens. And I get that too, Turtle Boy. So thank you. And I want to see you succeed too. I just want to, it is what it is, right? Sometimes friends don't agree. And I'm not mad at him either. Justice for Kelsey Fitzsimmons, reunite with her son. And that's another thing we're looking at this week. Like, that's big. She's got this appeal that was just filed by Tim Bradle. And 10 days, the state has to respond to it. So we're going to find out pretty damn soon whether she's going to be released for Christmas. Oh, MJ. I want to thank my moms, MJ, Sherry D, Stephanie, Jeno. I want to thank our moms for being here. Oh, we had a super chat tonight. I want to thank Grant's Ropel. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, and again, if you want to, since I'm poor now, since I'm not getting the clicks, if you want to help me buy the Peter Manso hardcover book, throw in a super chat or a Venmo tonight, so I don't go hungry. I need a Cliff Bar too. Help me out with a Cliff Bar. I want to see everyone succeed too. But I think the big thing for me is I'm not trying to tell others what to do. You know, just just not me. Even if I got mad for a minute, we are all allowed to get mad for a minute. We're all allowed to be emotional bitches, right? I'm sorry to the ladies. I don't mean any offense. I don't like to use that word, but I'm talking about the guys. Talking about myself. Highlight those awards. Yeah, one of them. They're nice awards. I'll hold them up. Hold on. This is all right. This is the first one, and this isn't the first award I won. I've won some activism awards in the past, but this is the first real journalism award. This was a major award. I beat the Boston Globe this year, and this was the New England Cannabis Convention. It's basically a huge convention, biggest in the East Coast, and the industry votes and the public votes and nominates and decides. It's really a poll, but it's a big poll and it's a big event. And this was when we won Best News and Information Source in 2018. And again, I beat the Boston Globe. I beat Dan Adams that year. That was amazing. And the reason why is the coverage that we were doing. We were exposing a lot of the corruption in the cannabis industry. And a lot of the stuff that we highlighted on our show, the testing fraud, the licensing fraud, all this stuff, this corruption, it's come to fruition. It's come to be exposed by everybody. And it's become a big issue. And we're going to be covering that again, too, a lot more. I just talked to really newly reinstated Commissioner Shannon O'Brien on the phone the other day, and she's going to try to come back up on the show in December to talk about some of this. And this is when we won the Best Cannabis Podcast in 2021. And again, we broke one of the biggest stories that year. It went national, international, about the death of Lorna McMurray at the cannabis facility and the lack of air quality and how people were getting sick at these manufacturing sites, these cultivation sites. You think it's all safe and fun to grow weed, which it is. But when you have it on a massive industrial scale and they don't have any air quality or air purification systems, the shit gets in the air and some people get allergic and actually die. And it happened to a 27-year-old. And the Cannabis Control Commission, OSHA, DPH, the state of Massachusetts, the Attorney General, they all covered it up. The cannabis control commissioners, including Shannon O'Brien, didn't know about it until months later when I broke the story on my show and then had the family calling up, the mother, the stepdad, the friends, the cousin, the aunt, they all called in. And when they started calling into the show, everybody noticed. The cannabis control commissioners all of a sudden made a statement about it. Shannon O'Brien, that's why I love Shannon O'Brien. She's honest. She's like, nobody told us. Think about that. The people at the top didn't know that there was a death. And that's why I love Shannon O'Brien, because she stood up for workers after that. She was trying to change the Cannabis Control Commission. And then they had a campaign against her and got rid of her. And then she sued and won. And now she's back. And so I've been doing a lot of journalism my whole life. Broke some huge stories. And that's what I'm sticking with. That's all. That's what I like to do. I like to help people. I helped the family of Lorna McMurray. And they have a huge lawsuit. And we drove TrueLeaf, the evil corporation, out of the state of Massachusetts. They left. They fled. They fled myself. And the Boston Globe actually helped out. You know, it was so funny because the Boston Globe would steal my stories. They would ignore me. They would never credit me. They were competition. And then I broke that Lorna McMurray story, and they were basically, they wrote it. Mike Crawford, Young Jerks, was right. He broke this story. They went and they chased TrueLeaf out with me. It was amazing to see the Globe come around on a story like that. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. 8 p.m. I'm watching JFK. He's got something great tonight. He's got you know who? He's got the father, Ed O'Brien. I've been watching this his show. I love how he's changed it up. He's getting off the drama too, and he's getting into something. And he's got the author of the book calling. He's got witnesses calling. He's got maybe somebody who did it who called into his show, and now he's having the father of the kid who's in jail, who's now a grown man, tonight at 8 p.m. I'm going to be watching that. I hope people check that out. Let's link it up. I'm just if I wonder if I can even forward. Yeah, they never pre-announce, so I can't like forward you there. But I'm just gonna post it in the chat so you can go check it out at 8 p.m. I want to make sure I didn't miss any Venmo. Oh yeah, I got another I think $10 recently from Karen D. That I don't think I thanked her, so I wanted to thank Karen. I said that right? Karen D. And she said, thank you again. And she's made a couple Venmos recently. So I want to make sure I thank her again for that Venmo. It'll help me buy the new book that I'm going to be buying about from Peter Manso. And I think that's it. I think I'm all caught up on all the super chats, and which weren't many tonight. But I appreciate everyone watching. JFK is covering the case of Eddie O'Brien, who got life in prison as a juvenile for killing his next door neighbor. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Again, it's like the Chris McGowan thing. They turned it into a sex crime. It doesn't seem like a sex crime, especially with the Eddie O'Brien thing. It seems like a crime of passion, like violence, like stabbed over and over and over again. Uh, Janet Downing was the woman that was murdered. And the person that I'm leaning towards did it called into the JFK show recently. And I'm not saying I know on this, and I don't, and that's what I like about JFK. They're not saying they know who did what, but they're just poking around. They're just talking to people, and they're just seeing where it goes. And tonight they're gonna have the father of the guy who's in jail for the murder of Janet Downing. And it's funny, when that trial was going on, I was living right over there in Somerville, Cambridge, where Eddie O'Brien apparently got jumped. I used to walk through there. I know exactly that area. It is kind of desolate too. If you got jumped there, nobody's going to see it. And that's why, like, anytime I'd walk through there, I'd always be looking to see if, because that's where you would get jumped. So I'll be watching that at 8 p.m. It's starting now. So let's go over there and go check out JFK. Thank you, everybody. And come back. I think tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're going to have the Sturm, Larry from the Sturm group. He's going to be talking about police chief in Methuen who's facing indictments, multiple felony charges. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow night. And I'm hoping Thursday night we might have attorney Robert George, live on the show. I'll see everyone real soon. Thank you so much for your support. Love you all. Have a great night. Peace out, jerks. Thank you. Good night.